Friends, I think we should start off with a motivational quote from one of the heroines we're going to be talking about today, and that is, no matter how impossible something may seem, punching can help solve the problem. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. We are beginning the series of video reviews I'm going to be doing throughout the month of October featuring Villainess series that you voted for. And may I ask for one final thing, being one of the top 3 most voted series, and not just in round 3, which I did talk about the results here in this video, but throughout honestly all 3 rounds. Y'all, I hope I do this series justice. I've wanted to read it for a really long time. It's a digital only series. Unfortunately, I read volumes 1 through 3, and let me tell you, after I read volume 3, oh how I wish I could have just binge bought the rest, but it was like $50 something, and I said, no, we can't just drop that right now. But I wanted to in my heart. I wish that this publisher actually did digital deals on their series, because they've got several that I'm interested in, but we're talking about May I Ask for One Final Thing, and goodness, it was phenomenal. It was amazing. It was everything I was hoping it would be. I did watch the anime. I actually have a first impression on just the first episode because I didn't know it was gonna be a 2-episode drop, and I only had time for the first one. And if you're curious about my thoughts, I'll leave the link down below. I shared that first impression on Beneath the Tangles, a website I blog for, and goodness, let's just go ahead and talk about what this manga is about so I can dive into the rambles. They will be extreme. They will hopefully be exciting because it was exciting for me to read this. But it's about our main female lead. Her name is Scarlet. I forget what her status is in society, but she's engaged to the second crown prince, who's a jerk, and his name's Kyle. And when this manga opens up, you see the typical villainous cliche or trope of the genre, where he is declaring, Scarlet, I'm breaking our engagement. I am now married to this beautiful, very super cute girl who's probably going to be pretty shady, but doesn't look like it right now. I'm engaged to her because she's so much better than you. And yeah, I'm also, during me calling off our engagement, I'm going to declare to everybody here all of your crimes. And Scarlet, of course, being our villainess, is like, what crimes? I didn't do no crimes. And he's like, you dare deny it. Because yeah, she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. The lies were made up about her. But if we rewind, we see that Scarlet has actually been engaged to the second prince since she was born. This marriage was already sort of set in stone. When she first meets Prince Kyle, I forget how old they are. Let's just say he was awful. He was like, you're my slave, you're my servant, do everything I say. And he was, I feel, physically abusive towards her. So much so that there was one point where he threatens her very, I feel he was talking about her hair, but I feel like it was her very life. During this time, Scarlet has always loved to beat up people. Now, not just any people, okay, we will talk about that, but she likes beating up people, makes her really happy. But when she got engaged to the prince, she, like officially, and she found out his personality, she really subdued herself. So if we go back to where this manga opens up and the engagement's being called off and he's like, hey, you did all these crimes and bad things, she unleashes that fury, that anger that she has been holding for at least 10 years. She unleashes it all. And so begins where Scarlet, having this engagement broken, no longer being bound to the crown, I guess you would say, or the royal family, she lets loose. And y'all, that is the highlight of this manga. It is nothing like any shoujo manga I've ever read when it comes to the action scenes. I've never seen anything like this. I think I talked about this in my first Top 5 Wednesday video that kicked off the Villainess event, that people have mentioned it's very shonen. And while I don't like using that term, I do think it is valid in this sense of when you read these action scenes, and I will definitely try and share as many screenshots as I can. I took so many and it's sort of overwhelming on my computer right now because of how many I took. It does actually make me think of battle shonen, and it was really surreal. Now, I would not say that if you love battle shonen, you're gonna love this manga, but I would say if you do like battle shonen, you will definitely enjoy these moments. I was having the time of my life. I enjoyed all 3 volumes, okay? Don't get me wrong. But again, that highlight, seeing Scarlet just kick everybody's butt, smile the most beautiful of smiles. Oh yes, that is where I was thriving. I loved it so very much. I love how there's a certain antagonist in the first arc where she is like, do not capture him, because they find out that he is part of a slave trade that's happening, an illegal slave trade at that. So it definitely adds even worse things to into it, but when she finds out he's the one that's been overseeing all of this, she's like, hey, and the first prince is like, hey, we're gonna go investigate this. We're going to actually send in spies and we're gonna take him down. And Scarlet's like, I want to be on that team. I want to be the one that takes him out. Don't let anybody touch my meat, as she calls him. And then when she finally gets to that moment, she's like, are you ready? Because she's been waiting all this time just to punch him. And she tells him, oh my gosh, I don't think I took a screenshot, but she does give him a term of endearment, calling him my adorable punching bag. And I genuinely love how she refers to many people as punching bags, so much so that they even have like a punching bag that seems to make an actual thing, or be a thing, excuse me, in volume 3. That was awesome. And so when you see her going out, y'all, it is incredible. I mean, there is one scene, I thought he was gonna be an antagonist. It's complicated, that's all I can say. And I love when this character comes on this scene. I got so excited even seeing them in the like opening of the anime. I'm like, who is this? We get to meet him. When they were fighting, y'all, it was like dancing. It was beautiful. It was incredible. And even when Scarlet is dishing out her fist of fury on that guy that I mentioned as like the ultimate antagonist in the first arc, beautiful. The paneling, the action. And then here we go, once things like come into play, you see the aftermath that you got, not to sound gross, we got some blood splatters from when she's punching nose, punching mouths, punching bellies. And the funny thing is too, with that, she even makes a comment at one point that she said the best punching bag when they're villains that have some flabby stomachs. Those are the best ones. And that leads me to say that I think if you read the first volume of the manga, or you've seen the first episode of the anime, somebody mentioned online that Scarlet is very bloodthirsty. Like, I saw this in a Goodreads review, and I could definitely see that, but I feel when you get to volume 2, at least, I'm trying to think if it was shown in the second anime, because maybe not, because all of volume 1 adapts the first and second episodes of the anime, just as an FYI. But you see, especially in the second volume, where she may seem bloodthirsty, yes, but she is not out to hurt innocent people. She is after those evil nobles who are selling people as slaves, who are capturing, kidnapping them into being slaves by force. And just anything else, like when you go into the new arc after this, it's not going to be my favorite arc, honestly, because it has like this religious division that's happening, and we have a very evil pope. Like, you can just see his design and know that this guy is bad news. But it's these people who are abusing their power and hurting innocent people, that is who she's after. That is who she wants to see and kick their butt and just punch them. When somebody mentions like, hey, are you after the saint? I think it was like Saint Diana or something, like, are you after her? She's like, no, I would never punch somebody like that. Not just because they're a saint, but because of how they help the people and how she's putting her life, the saint, putting her life in the line to aid and just support these people. So Scarlet's not after just anybody, just on a rampage, beating people up and whatnot. Like, she does, they may be a little bit out there for reasons, okay, but she does have an actual valid reason of why she punches the people that she does and why she gets excited to take them out. It was very fulfilling, and I feel like you just can't help but cheer for her in these moments where you're like, yes, these guys, these bad guys are getting taken out for how they've treated other people. If we rewind and go to the first arc, it was very moving because, yes, we're moving in excitement, yes, and seeing Scarlet kick butt, but when we are introduced to a young slave that is trying to take out Scarlet's life, we find out his name is Nanaka, and I love him. He's a sweet, precious being, but we see, though, through these interactions between Nanaka and Scarlet, that she, again, is not just this ruthless, bloodthirsty person. We really see her heart and how she feels for Nanaka, not in a romantic sense, by the way, but I feel like how she would view a younger brother. I really love how she took him under her wing, so to speak, and she protects him with everything that she has. And when she gives a promise, because when they're trying to get into the slave auction, unfortunately, and he agrees to it, so it's not like Scarlet was doing it against him or anything, but they use him as bait, and he gets hurt a little bit. And you can see that, again, that righteous anger that Scarlet has of like, how dare you hurt this person? You have no right to do that, period. And this is a great point to go into of the world building of this world, of this series. blew my mind. We've got dragons, we've got elves, we've got dwarves, we got beast kind. It feels like this is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, if there's one complaint that I have against the digital publisher for this, there is a map, y'all. There's a map that's supposed to go in these digital releases. I was looking at the Japanese publisher, or I was looking at the Japanese volumes, and when you open it up, because when you're reading the English volumes, okay, I bought, again, the first 3 off of Amazon. Fortunately, it's the only place that I've been able to find them, nowhere else. But it reads as if it's a continuous story, which isn't bad, but there's really no feeling of, okay, I'm done with this volume, I'm moving on to the next. So I went to go look over and just see how many volumes were out in Japan, and I just clicked on a random one for whatever reason, and it opens up with a map. I said, there's a map! This isn't in the English edition of the volume. I'm like, publisher, excuse me. I feel like that would be very helpful, because when you meet who seems an antagonist at first, we find out he has to live very far because he's traveling on this dragon to get to this country. And it would be nice to know where exactly that country is. Therefore, the map would be very, very handy. Not only that, but at least at the beginning of the manga, we have an extra chapter page, I guess you would call it. We don't have that in the English release either. Now, it's a great release, but I was very salty about that map, y'all. We don't get maps like that in shoujo manga, so when we get them, I want them. So just as like an FYI. But going back to the world building, I was really blown away by this. In fact, I feel like this world is going to be much bigger, and I didn't even know that there was like a magical aspect of this. I mean, yes, Scarlet does have, with her abilities, with her OP abilities, I should say, they are through a divine blessing that she has been given. And there's people in this world that do have divine blessings. So I guess it's not necessarily magic per se because of these blessings. I mean, you have the transformation like of the beast kind and other characters, but I don't really know if, like, say, like the elves and the dwarves that were mentioned, if they have actual magical abilities or if these are divine blessings. But I was not expecting that. I love Scarlet's blessing that she has, of how it is shown and conveyed in the manga of when she starts to use it. I'm like, girl, this is the coolest thing. Honestly, of how it was explained with these blessings, I think it showed in the anime, but I think it was a scene pulled from like volume 2 or volume 3. It made a lot of sense. And so I have really appreciated how this world is just so much bigger than what I originally was expecting. A European-like setting seems to be the basis of a lot of series. I feel like for Villainess Isekai, this really is an isekai. There is a twist though with this manga. I might do spoilers at the end, and I will make it known that it's a spoiler. It is massive, but I was not expecting that. Shout out to the creator. That was very, very well done. But yeah, that was such a big surprise for me to see these dragons and these elves. I mean, it was so much bigger than here's this kickbutt villainess who's just happening to be OP because she's just built that way. No, she has a reason with this blessing. Now, she is, I feel like, I mean, she's at the top of her class without her blessing, honestly. So it's not like she couldn't do it. It just makes her that more extreme and that more strong when she actually engages with this divine blessing, when she is fighting and beating other people up. That was just all that was awesome. And not only that, I'm not really one who is very critical or even feel bad saying it because it sounds like I feel like I'm accidentally sounding disrespectful to mangaka, but I don't focus a lot on the art when I'm reading. I'm very big, story is first. You could have not the most beautiful art, and that's okay as long as the story is keeping me engaged. But one thing, I enjoyed all the action scenes. That's definitely so well drawn. There was no confusion of like, what is exactly happening here? No, it was very easy to read, and I appreciate that because I know when I have read battle shonen in the past, that is a personal struggle for me. So I appreciate that I was able to easily see what is going on and how this battle is unfolding. But what stood out to me about the art though, is there's so many different expressions with different characters, like, and not just expressions of how they make their face, I guess you would say, but I guess that's what I'm trying to say, of how they're drawn specifically, not their expression, how they are drawn. I will try and show a few different characters because mainly I notice it's very much the bad guys that have this really nasty, not attractive, not cool look about them. Like, it is very good. And I found that this is a story that's very easy where everyone's looking different. There's no, not gonna name drop any creators or anything, but there are a few series where it's like, which character is this out of their series? I don't really know. Or which character is this just in the series alone because they all look so similar? That is not an issue in this manga, and I really love that. It was an unexpected thing again for me, and not anticipating of seeing like, okay, I remember who this bad guy is, may not know his name to be honest, that I will be honest about, but I remember his face because I'm like, oh, I remember that's how he was drawn, was really weird. And even there's a good guy near the end, and I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting beard slash mustache. We don't see stuff like this very often. So that was a really cool part of this series, and I hope that that continues as it goes on with these maybe not unique designs, but it's unique, I feel, for shoujo manga. And just, I wouldn't even say shoujo manga, let me take that statement back. I would just say manga in general from my experience. I really like that. I really like that a lot. And when it came to the story itself, it was so engaging. I love the cast of characters, which would be a great point to say about that first prince, Prince Julius. He is nothing like any hero I've probably read before. He is, I'm hesitant to call him a prankster. He very much is a jokester, and it can be hard at times to tell how sincere he is, but I really believe he is sincere when he is actually sincere. He just likes to tease a bunch. This makes the story interesting because when it comes to the romance, because I'm shipping hard, y'all. I am shipping Prince Julius and Scarlet very hard. Though with that interloper that came on the scene, I said, I'm okay with that, so I'm okay. You can cause some problems. I said, I like your character a lot. You're really funny, and you're just a great time. But I think it's going to cause problems for Scarlet later on because Prince Julius does make his feelings known. But because he does like to tease, it's very hard for Scarlet to know, is he actually being genuine? But I feel there was at least one time, oh gosh, was it in 3? Because y'all, there was a swoon moment in volume 2, and then there was a swoon moment in volume 3, and I don't remember which moment it was, but he would say something super romantic. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. This is like the swoon. And then you turn the page, like at one moment he calls her my adorable plaything or my precious plaything, something plaything. And I was like, Julius, what? What? I'm like, here we have this beautiful, blushy Scarlet that you have made with your words, and it is perfect. Only for you to ruin the moment, buddy, with what you just said. Why did you say what you did? Why did you say what you did? So that happens for every single romantic moment, pretty much, okay? At least involving Prince Julius. And again, I am shipping, I am inserting my own biasness, so I could be having some rose-tinted glasses on. I ain't gonna lie on that. But he is a very fascinating character, and I know that he says that with Scarlet around, things are never boring, but I would argue when Prince Julius is around, things are never boring either. Honestly, these two are two peas in a pod. They make the perfect couple, perfect match. They really match each other's energy and vibe. I know Scarlet may not feel like that, and I know that she feels her facial expressions don't reveal what she's thinking, but girl, Prince Julius is right. You be having on your face what you thinking. You really do. I'm sorry, Scarlet. I love you. But it is really great to see them on page together, see the shenanigans that unfold, and how honestly he begins so into it. He'd be ready to see Scarlet take down people. I enjoy that and appreciate about his character. Though on the flip side, Scarlet's brother Leonardo, I believe is his name. Oh, the poor man. The poor man. He wants Scarlet to stop. She's got all these nicknames, and honestly, I think every volume we see or it's revealed of a new nickname that has been given to her, and it ain't a good one, okay? It's just not a good one. I like it. I think the Mad Dog Princess is cool. I think that's a cool nickname, but you know, if I was in Leonardo's shoes and I was a higher up, because he has multiple roles in this manga, poor man is overworked. He need a break. Yeah, I feel like I would be stressed out about it too. And on top of, he is sort of Prince Julius's right-hand man, and he's trying to deal with Prince Julius, who doesn't want to listen. He's very headstrong, wants to do his own thing, have a fun time. Again, to poor Leonardo, he just needs a break. But I really did enjoy his relationship with Scarlet. In fact, we even see it in the anime when we find out some of the repercussions that happen when you overuse the divine blessing that you've been given, which I love seeing that unfold later on, by the way, especially in volume 2. But yeah, when she is about to pass out or faint from overuse, it's her brother who is there for her first. And I was really surprised by this because if you watch the anime, you see it's Prince Julius, but in the manga, it's actually her brother. And when there's another scene that happens later on where she's about to pass out again from overuse, she, I don't want to say cry out, more like she says, questions, calls out, is that you, brother? And it was not. But I like how, despite that, she knows that she may frustrate her brother because he's like, hey, can you just promise me that you won't punch anymore? And he couldn't even finish the sentence before she's like, no. No, and he's like, just let me, just pretend like you can. So despite that, I love how they seem to have a very close sibling relationship. It was very, very beautiful. If we want to continue talking about characters, you know, I mentioned Nanaka earlier, and I will, just as a forewarning, just as a heads up for friends who prefer, while there's no nudity, there is implied nudity. And I say implied because since there's a scene where he is completely nude, the speech bubbles are over certain parts. So you never see anything front or back. Either it's conveniently cut off at certain areas from the waist down, or again, you have those speech bubbles that are placed over it. So just as an FYI to anybody so that they're aware and not surprised. But when they first meet, Scarlet and him, it's a very interesting way of meeting, and I really didn't expect for their friendship to grow. And that, honestly, again, it feels like a younger brother and an older sister, and I loved it. I hope that he plays a major role going forward because I will be so sad if he's not on page. I enjoyed how he is roped into these shenanigans. I mean, much of it is like he's willing to help them, but I don't think he was prepared for the antics by Scarlet, being excited to beat people up, and then Prince Julius, who's like, oh, I'm here for this noble, righteous reason, and they're like, Scarlet's like, yeah, why are you really here? And then he gives a real, he's like, I just want to see you beat people up, and poor Nanaka's like, how did I get into this mess kind of thing, it feels like. And I will say how Prince Julius does that to Scarlet, where like in the beginning, in the opening scene, where he's like, you know, why did you beat them up? And she's giving this really eloquent reason of why. And he's like, okay, yeah, cut to the chase. Tell me the real reason. She's like, I wanted to punch their teeth in. Okay, there we go. And that's the reasons, and they accept those reasons. So it was fantastic. I truly am bummed that I cannot read ahead. Yes, I could. I could go buy all the volumes. We have up to volume 9 out in English. I want to read ahead so badly. So my goal is that I've already added this to my physical license wish list because I feel like even though volume 2 hands down was my favorite because the action was just out of this world, it was fantastic in every single way, but I really enjoyed volume 1 and I really enjoyed volume 3. I feel like volume 3 I would give a 5 stars if it just didn't have the whole religious divide where we have 2 different factions, and you have like the good faction and then you have the bad faction, and for different reasons, and people feel different reasons of why one is good, why one is bad. So I'm like, this isn't my favorite necessarily thing to read about when it comes to like arcs, but outside of that, it was easily a 5 stars because I loved all the characters, I loved how the story is progressing, and I say all that because I easily would reread this physically. Not to say I wouldn't reread it digitally, but I know myself with the digital series I already have, I rarely come back to reread them digitally, no matter how much I love it. Thinking of Love, Less Understanding from Far Away, both series that are very dear and precious to me, and I would say are some of my all-time favorites, but I just don't think to come back to my computer and read them digitally compared to when you could see with your eyeballs with your physical collection. That sounded weird, but you could see these. I walk by them all the time because they're in my bedroom, so hopefully that makes sense. But it's a series I think would just be a blast to have physically. I think other people would really enjoy it because when it comes to villainous tropes, I do feel like this one hits very differently. I cannot relate to Scarlet pretty much at all, but that is why I enjoy reading this so much, because typically when we have these villainous series, they don't really act like villainesses, and she's not a villainess, but she embraces when she's told that how she is and how she acts, she's a villainess. She embraces it. She goes all in, and so I do appreciate that about her, and I feel like just, man, with that twist, I'm not going to talk about it, but that twist that happens, that was so well done. That was so well done. I was like, oh, we're missing that. That's a pretty big villainous trope here. It's got it. It's got it. So it's a great series that I would definitely recommend. It just unfolds, not slowly, but I feel like it unfolds things at just the right time, and I couldn't get enough of it. Could not get enough of it. Yeah, so hopefully we will see a physical license for this at some point. Your girl's definitely tuning in for that anime. It is awesome. So good. I cannot wait for, as this video going live, we'll have a new episode that drops today, but at the time of filming, I cannot wait. I am seated, I am ready, and have nothing but really fantastic things to say about this series. It's one I would suggest checking out if you have the time or the resources. And I will say that if you go to the actual publisher's website, it's Alpha Manga, I believe, you can read the first 3 chapters for free only on their website. So yeah, let me know what you think. Have you seen the anime? What do you think of a villainess who maybe isn't an actual evil villainess, but likes beating people up like she's one? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!